The wilderness is a dangerous place with a high risk of death, but contains some of the best money makers and skilling methods in the game. So should you avoid the wilderness or dare to cross over the ditch? If you find something useful in this video, consider subscribing. So the wilderness can be a dangerous place to go, and you might be wondering, why would I go there in the first place? So let's look at the positives and negatives and see whether the wilderness might be worth it for you. So for our pros, clue scrolls. Completing clue scroll steps. There are a number of clue scroll steps that require the wilderness in both the hard, elite, and master tier. It is important to be able to get these rewards, and though some of the rewards can be great, such as the Third Age pickaxe going for currently 8 billion GP. And the wilderness isn't just a great place to complete clue scrolls, it's a great place to gain clue scrolls. On average, if you use Dolo lava dragons, you can get an elite clue every 30 to 45 minutes. You can also get hard clues from the hellhounds, not that I think this is as good, but it's something. You have the Wilderness God Wars dungeon, which is a source of ecumenical keys, which lets you skip KC at God Wars, which is a super useful tool, especially against Commanders Ilyana and Kriara, where getting KC can take quite a while. Wilderness bosses, Venatus, Callisto, and Vedion, as well as their single way variants, Calvarian, Ardio, and Spindle. The single way variants are still worth about 5 mil GP per hour profit, and the multi being over 7 mil per hour. They also have some pretty cool pets, and a chance to obtain the Void Waker. We also have the Revenant Caves, which can be some of the best GP per hour in the game. Based on a method I described in my money making video, you can be making over 7 mil profit per hour every hour relatively consistently. And onto scaling methods, we have the Wilderness Altar, which is the best prayer XP in the game, tied with that in the POH and bone running. However, at the Wilderness Altar, you have a chance to save 50% of your bones. This means that if you do superior dragon bones with fast clicking, you can be getting almost 1.2 million prayer XP per hour. That's 99 in under 11 hours. You have access to the best hunter XP in the game with Black Chin Chompers 3 tick at 285k XP per hour, which can save you about 40 hours over Red Chin Chompers, which are about 150k XP per hour, and net you about 100 million more GP on your journey to 99. You also have access to Dark Crabs, which are a great AFK fishing alternative. You can get about 40k fishing XP per hour and 210k per hour profit, which is slightly higher profits than Anglerfish and better GP. You also have the Wilderness Agility course, which is the best agility XP in the mid game. You can do Wildy Slayer, which can get you extra drops like the Trevor Parchment, which is worth a couple 100,000 GP. It can also get you the best Slayer points per hour in game if you're doing good tasks and being quick. This is really good if you're running low on points, doing normal Slayer and want to build up a big of a barrier, or unlock or block a new task, or unlock a Slayer Helm recolor. We also have the Mage Arena 1 and 2, which is the best and second best in slot magic capes in the game. And as you can see with all of these pros stacked together, there's some pretty incredible rewards on display from the wilderness. And for our cons, we have PKs. Okay, now that I've horribly oversimplified that, let's break down the reason why PKs are so difficult to deal with, and why sometimes it feels like you can't ever win. Firstly, PK builds versus main stat builds. Now, if you got a quote-unquote mid-game account here, I don't think mid-game is the right phrase. If you want to see why, check out my video, the mid-game is a lie. I would say between beginner and legend tier account, let's say, your stats are not built for PKing compared to a true PK build. For example, if you had base 70s, as in level 70 in every single combat stat, including prayer, and about 75 hit points, you'll be level 90 combat. However, someone with 99 magic, 99 range, 99 strength, 1 defense and attack, 43 prayer, and 50 hit points will be combat level 65. With this build, they can easily max hit 45s with Fire Surge every 4 ticks if they use a Harmonized Staff with massive accuracy, and can easily fly into a Dark Bow Spec with a max hit of 72, followed up by an Obby Maul hit of 33. This means in a few game ticks, they can hit 150 damage, leaving you little to no chance to survive with your 75 hit points. This specific PK build I've described is not the point that I'm making, but there is probably a better or worse PK build you could use at different combat brackets, but more the point I'm making is that specifically, they are building an account to kill players and stay low combat level with high DPS and easier targets. You're just building your account as you go. They're using a scalpel, perfectly cutting away every stat they don't need, while you're using a hammer and nails to build up your account as time goes on. The methods of account creation are different, and so the results in PvP are different. Secondly, PK items. PKs are geared up for PKing. You're not. They have more supplies, more brews, more restores, more combat potions and combo food. You're here to fight a wilderness boss or maybe do some chinchompas. They're here to kill players. If you took 2 players of perfectly equal skill in this position, the PK geared player is always going to win unless heavy RNG favors them. Most times when people anti-PK, they're very experienced and skilled and go for quick KOs as they don't have supplies for a sustained fight. It's just the reality that if your opponent is bringing 12 brews and you have 6, they're going to be able to fight for much longer than you are. Thirdly, PK buffs. PKs in general have received some pretty insane buffs over the years. Harmonized and Eldritch Orb for massive DPS and KO potential in Magic, Dragon Claws and the Void Waker for having huge hitting specs on both melee and mage without having to bring gear switches, things like Crystal and the Bofa, which can absolutely destroy high armor targets. This means that the KO potential and DPS increase has been extreme. A YouTuber named Reese, who focuses on PK videos, made a video a couple months ago where he had a PK build that could hit 192 in a single game tick. These increases over time has meant that PKing has turned into a much more kill in one hit kind of playstyle, and the likelihood that you're going to survive unless you're very experienced and understand when that one hit is coming is very difficult. Fourthly, PK knowledge gaps. They engage in far more PvP than you do. They know how to make people panic, mess up switches, they know where you might run, where you might try to teleport from, and what you might be risking. They know how to skull trick you or bait you, they've been doing it longer and with more frequency than you have, and the PKing rules can oftentimes be very confusing. Where can you TP out versus where you can't, what you can risk and don't risk at certain times are lost above level 20 wilderness. At certain times people can attack you and you can't attack them. In multi, many PKs can attack you. In singles, if you're in combat in single PVM, the enemy can't attack you. In singles plus, you can be attacked even if you're in combat with a PVN monster. And things like the Ferox Enclave safe zone, you can be attacked in if you're TB'd, but then not attacked if you're not TB'd. A TB on prayer is 2.5 minutes instead of the full 5. There's a lot of massive knowledge gaps in PvP that you simply don't have because you don't PvP. And this last one certainly doesn't apply to the majority of PKers, and even PKs struggle to deal with these guys. Cheat clienters. It's no secret there are cheat clients, certain PK ones that allow for auto-pres, auto-gear switching, and the like, and it's very difficult to near impossible to counter, even for experienced PKs with proper builds and items, so naturally if you're there just to do some chinchompas, it's going to be near to impossible for you to counter. So we've established that the rewards are great, but as are the risks. So let's go over a few things we can do to try and level the playing field. Firstly, understanding the gap. Once you know that you're at a disadvantage, you know that you can gain knowledge to reduce that gap. By clicking on this video, you've taken a good step towards gaining some knowledge, but I am by no means the ultimate source of wilderness knowledge. But here are some things that I've done to make it a bit easier to understand and distill the information. Secondly, plugins. Some plugins I'd recommend is the Wilderness Lines plugin. This shows multi-lines and spear lines. Spear lines are where a team could dragon spear special attack you and push you into multi, at which point a clan could log in and drop all their special attacks on you and smite you, so be very careful of those as well. This also shows teleport lines, so you know how far you have to go to try and escape. I'd recommend the Large Logout. It's a plugin that makes the logout button much bigger. This might seem kind of useless, but in a panic situation, being able to quickly fly your mouse and log out quickly is useful. I'd also recommend Combat Level, so you know how far you have to tank if a person is currently attacking you before they're out of your combat range. I'd recommend Protect Item Notify. This will put a massive protect item symbol on your screen if you're not currently praying it in the wilderness. This is really good because sometimes you might forget while you're doing a boss and then get attacked by a PKer. Know you're going to die, but forget to turn protect item on. Uncharged glory warning. This is pretty simple and it does what it says. If you go into the wilderness with an uncharged glory so you can't teleport to safety, it gives you a warning to let you know. This one has definitely caught me many times while doing abyss rune crafting. Wilderness boss peak. This one is less useful and more quality of life, but it shows quickly and easily whether the boss arena currently has any players in it, and it makes it so you can easily hop more quickly. If I could make a request for any plugin makers, please make a plugin that has this similar function at the God Wars altars so that you can easily tell when you can next click it and get prayer back. That would be awesome. Thirdly, tactics that we can employ to try and make it easier to avoid PKs or escape them if they do attack us. Firstly, make sure the switch world button is bound to a mouse combination. For me, for example, I have it as bound to shift and mouse button 5. This means I can easily world hop if I see a PKer, as sometimes this is much faster than clicking on the logout button. To that point though, sometimes your brain might go to the logout button first, and it is technically one tick faster to log out, so make sure that the button to switch to the logout menu is an easy to reach keybind. For me, I use F5. Make sure the skull prevention option is enabled. This is easily accessed in this menu. This will mean that you won't accidentally get skull tricked and lose your best items when you're planning on not risking them. And trust me, don't think that you won't get skull tricked. There's a lot of really clever people out there who are very good at what they do, and they will skull trick you. We can plan your escape route beforehand. Depending on what content you're doing, think about what you're going to do to be able to get out of that content. What's your closest teleport? Is there a ladder you can use to try and escape a PKer? And if your primary route is blocked, for example, if you get teleport blocked, what's your alternate route going to be? And just to clarify, your plan can literally be die if you plan on banking often and don't mind losing what you have. For example, when I was doing 99 Hunter grinding at Black Chins, I would often risk about 5 to 10 mil worth of Black Chins because I couldn't be bothered to bank and accepted that I could lose them, and I didn't mind, because I was mostly just there for the experience. And fourthly, mindset. You gain more than you lose, even when you're PK'd. For example, with the Wilderness Altar, because you save 50% of your bones, you would have to get PK'd almost every trip, depending on how many bones you bring, for it to not be worth it for you to still use the Wilderness Altar. For example, at current prices, 70 to 99 prayer using dragon bones at an altar will cost you about 127 million GP, while at the Wilderness Altar will cost you 63 million GP. This means you'd have to get PK'd for half of all the bones you use for it to be worse for you to use the Wilderness Altar. I know it can feel bad to get PK'd, and it can feel bad to lose what you have, but overall the Wilderness in many situations is actually better than not. Secondly, don't risk more than you're willing to lose. If losing that many bones will be enough to make you quit the game or tilt you beyond belief, then simply don't take that much in. You can find something else to do, or you can come back at a later time, or build up a bit more bank. Thirdly, accept that it is an unfair fight. As I established with the PK builds earlier on, you're at a massive disadvantage, and that's okay. You're here for a different reason than they are. You're not here to kill people, you're here to get good XP rates and good PVM. Fourthly, there will be toxic PKs. This is just the reality of things. Just ignore them, don't take in anything they say to heart, and move on. Fifthly, most of the time it is predator versus prey. You are supposed to lose statistically, but as long as you accept that and accept that sometimes you can escape or even fight back if you're feeling skilled enough, it's something you can do. Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know that I'm officially launching my Patreon, where you can support me from as little as $2 a month. Also, my sister made these fantastic tier artworks for each of the available tiers, and they'll be available in full resolution and alternate colors at each tier. I've also launched my Discord, which is linked to the Patreon, and each tier will provide you to special channel access and will give you access to discuss future videos with me, as well as something else I have cooking in the background. With all that said, thanks so much for watching.